What is going on, YouTube? My name's Travis from It's a Work, and we are coming hot off of a WrestleMania 34 weekend. So let's get into the Superstar Shakeup. Number 10, Ty Dillinger. I mean, come on, send him to Raw. Number 10, Ty Dillinger. Do you get it? I mean, seriously, it just kind of makes sense. Ty's not really doing much on Smackdown, and I kind of don't expect him to do much in the near future because they just don't have the time that Raw does. Why not send a guy like Dillinger over to Raw? Get the guy some screen time. You can actually put him in a tag team match here and there, or put him in a singles feud with someone like Elias, and you get good TV out of it. What more can you really ask for? You can get a singles feud that doesn't center around the championship, and it's good TV. Ty's the perfect 10. Number 9, Colin Cassady to Smackdown Live. Yes, Colin Cassady. Not Big Cass, Colin Cassady to Smackdown Live. Big Cass was a fine gimmick when Enzo was around, but let's get real. If you want us to take him serious as a singles competitor, you should probably give the guy a real name. We saw his mic skills improving before injury, and now with Enzo out of the company, sticking him with some new guys just seems like the way to go. Start the guy completely fresh and see what he can do for himself. Maybe also change his music. Number 8, split up the New Day. Xavier Woods to Raw, keep Kofi and Big E on SmackDown Live. The New Day's great, and I'm not really sure I would have said that when I first saw them together. But that was almost 4 years ago now. From that weird gospel thing we saw, to the pancake slinging, unicorn stampeding, dancing weirdos we know and love today. I think we've seen them do everything that they can. It's time to pack up the ice cream cart and see what they can do on their own. We know what Kofi's capable of on his own as a singles competitor. We know Xavier Woods is talented and has charisma. Did you just laugh? Why?
I don't know.
You can't do that because the mic's on. We know what Kofi's capable of as a singles competitor. We know Xavier Woods is talented and has the charisma. And Big E was a top star in NXT, even a former NXT champion. So first off, let's put Xavier Woods to Raw. There's more time on the show to introduce him as a singles guy and just see what he can do on his own. Leave Big E and Kofi on SmackDown Live, let them tag up for a couple of weeks, and slowly build up to that split. With Xavier Woods not being there to hold the whole thing together, it's bound to happen. Push Big E as the monster heel and let Kofi work his magic to get him over. Kofi's good with that. A veteran like Kofi is perfect to play the babyface to get that kind of emotion out of the crowd and sympathize for. This is the perfect kind of thing for something on SmackDown to have meaning without having a championship involved. A splitting up a tag team. Can't do it with the Usos, because they're brothers, and why would you want to do that? You can do it with the New Day. It's really just something that would get me excited and invested. I'd want to watch that. Just time to split them up. Number 7, KO to Raw and Sami Zayn to SmackDown Live. Here's another team? Best friends, let's go with that one. Who should probably split up. Now, I don't want them to split up in such a dramatic fashion the way that KO and Jericho did, but splitting up because of the brand split just seems to make some sense. KO gets his spot back on Raw, and Sami can plead with Paige to get him a spot on SmackDown. She's the new GM, and she can probably swing that kind of thing without going to Shane or even convincing Shane to let Sami back on the show. It seems pretty simple to me, really. You don't want to be without these guys. And yeah, while they're a good team, KO probably shouldn't have any more best friends. And I don't want to watch another Kevin and Sami feud. This just seems like the right scenario to go with for now. Number 6, Jeff Hardy to SmackDown Live. Brother Nero, I knew you'd come to SmackDown Live. I mean, with Woken Matt and Brother Bray running loose on Raw, Brother Nero's kind of just been rendered obsolete on Raw. And in-house Hardy for that matter. We all figured that when the Hardys returned, Matt would eventually break and Jeff would end up as a singles guy. He's always drawn money as a singles competitor, and he's super over with the fans, and he has been for 20 years now. No matter where they put Jeff on the card, fans are going to watch, fans are going to buy the merchandise, and fans are going to buy tickets to see Jeff Hardy. He's a draw, and he can do whatever they need, whenever they need him to do it, as long as he stays healthy. If you need him in the main event scene, you can put him in the main event scene. If you need him to stay in the mid-card, he'll stay in the mid-card. If you need him to tag up, he'll tag up. Jeff's the guy SmackDown Live could really use right now. Number 5, NXT call-ups. You can't be without some NXT call-ups. We've already seen a couple following WrestleMania week already. Ember Moon, Authors of Pain, and No Way Jose all ending up on Raw, and then the Iconic Duo, or the Iconics, ending up on SmackDown Live. Why not send a few more into the mix? I expect SmackDown Live to get the majority of the call-ups here, mainly because Raw got a handful already, but there still might be a couple that end up there. I'm just not going into that. I'm sticking to SmackDown Live with these. So for NXT call-ups to SmackDown Live, First of all, the entirety of Sanity. Sanity can not only replace the New Day as the new stable on SmackDown Live, but they can fill all kinds of different roles. You have 3 guys who can all perform at a great singles level, and then you have Nikki Cross who can come in and build meaningful stories in the women's division. While Eric Young, Killian Dane, and Alexander Wolf are all great singles competitors, I feel like Killian Dane is going to be the one who breaks out as a single star over time. If not him, it's going to be Eric Young, and either way, one of the two are going to end up staying back in the tag division with Alexander Wolf to capture that tag team gold. Next up is Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega. So Almas is coming off of his NXT Championship loss, and if history tells us anything, it's time for a main roster call-up. Capture the NXT title, lose the NXT title, get promoted to the main roster. That's how it works around here. Almas is a top athlete, and we got a glimpse of him back at the Royal Rumble in January. And now seriously, with a manager like Vega, it's a monster heel on your hands. You can't go wrong bringing this guy to your team and just letting the heat take over. He's really kind of the perfect guy, and he's a great heel that you don't have to use his foreign background around to get the heat. He brings it naturally with the help of his manager. Lastly, Cassius Ohno to SmackDown Live. He's been working really hard in NXT and putting on great performances since he arrived. He's a veteran in the wrestling business, and that's going all the way back to his independent scene. And now it's time for him to move up to the main roster, assuming he wants to move up to the main roster. The only thing that might keep him away from it is he's pushing 40 now. He might not want to take on such a travel-heavy schedule this late in his career, but I'd still love to see him mix it up on the main roster. Number 4, Charlotte Flair to Raw, Sasha Banks to SmackDown Live. So this one's basically a straight-up trade, which is why I'm just going to lump these two together. With Charlotte coming fresh off of a WrestleMania victory over Asuka to end their streak, and then losing the Women's Championship to Carmella on SmackDown because of her Money in the Bank contract, it's time for her to go to Raw and probably start feuding with Ronda Rousey over time, seeing as to how that's really what they want to do for next year's WrestleMania. So with Charlotte going to Raw, Sasha's going to step up and take her place on SmackDown. Now, she'll probably come over as a babyface, but over time, I feel like she's going to turn into the heel that we all know and love Sasha to be. She works so well as a heel that to watch her face off with a babyface Becky or Naomi, it's just great TV, and we want to watch those matches. So to me, this seems like a fair trade, and I think everyone's better off for it. Number 3, Braun Strowman to SmackDown Live. With Braun and future Hall of Famer Nicholas recently relinquishing their Raw Tag Team titles, Braun's basically hit the reset button on his career. I mean, sure, he was put in the back pocket, and just in case they needed him, he was going to be there for the WrestleMania main event. But that didn't pan out, and he ended up becoming tag team champions with Nicholas. I mean, good for Nicholas, but Braun. So now Braun's just got to find his way back to the front of the line, where he belongs. So for Braun, it's a different world on SmackDown Live. It's a whole new world for him to go in and face other competitors, be the monster among men we know him to be, as opposed to the comedy character that he's been for a little while. I'm sure people are still going to get these hands on SmackDown, and there's going to be plenty to go around. Number 2, Finn Balor to SmackDown Live. So SmackDown could probably use a little bit more star power, and really who better than Finn Balor? Not only can Balor fit right into the main event title scene, but him and AJ have a story waiting to have the trigger pulled on it, even if it doesn't have the title involved at the time. Balor's a main event guy, plain and simple, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be chasing the Universal title anytime soon, since that place is kind of secured for Roman. But he is a former Universal Champion. If it hadn't been for injury, he might still be Universal Champion. The fans love Balor too, and you can't go wrong with his merchandise sales. They can really use that star power on SmackDown and that draw for their house shows. Number 1, Daniel Bryan to Raw. Daniel Bryan made his triumphant return to in-ring action at WrestleMania last week, after being cleared for active competition for the first time in 3 years. With him now a full-time active roster member again, it makes sense to put him on Raw. I mean, let's be honest, Raw's the A show, and Daniel Bryan belongs on the A show. We've seen him on SmackDown Live pretty much since he had to retire, so a huge announcement like this makes sense for the shakeup. He's been there for a while, and it's nice to see the change of scenery for him. We can get the chance to see him go at it with the guys on Raw, and finally get the payoff with The Miz that has to happen. You hear that, WWE? It has to happen. They spent so much time building the Miz story, and now I want to watch it unfold. It writes itself. Make it happen. And that's what we think about the Superstar Shakeup here at It's a Work. If you agree, or don't, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back for our Raw recap on Tuesday. You can also follow us on Twitter at IAW Wrestling. I'm Travis from It's a Work. See you guys next time.